You've probably heard them before, strange phrases that make no sense when you stop and think about them. But have you ever wondered where they actually come from? Some of them have dark, twisted histories that stretch back centuries. Welcome to Darklight Archives, where we'll uncover the stories lurking in the shadows. Today we're diving into 5 weird sayings and their bizarre origins. We call someone a dead ringer when they look nearly identical to someone else. But where does this strange phrase come from? Surprisingly, it has nothing to do with death or bells. Its origins are rooted in 19th century horse racing fraud. In the world of gambling, switching out a slow horse for a nearly identical, much faster one was a common trick. These look-alike horses, known as ringers, allowed dishonest jockeys and owners to rig races and cheat bettors. If a ringer won a race, the schemers would collect huge payouts while everyone else was left scratching their heads. The term dead ringer likely developed from an older word, ringer, which was slang for an exact duplicate or counterfeit. The addition of dead may have simply emphasized how perfectly identical the substitute was, much like saying something is dead on accurate. So the next time you call someone a dead ringer, remember, you might just be invoking an old scam that fooled gamblers and race officials alike. No, this phrase doesn't refer to an actual monkey losing its... Well, you get the idea. The true origin comes from the world of naval warfare. During the Age of Sail, warships carried heavy iron cannonballs which needed to be stored efficiently. To keep them within easy reach, they were often stacked in a pyramid formation on a brass plate known as a brass monkey. But brass and iron expand and contract at different rates in extreme temperatures. When temperatures dropped significantly, the brass plate would contract more than the iron balls, causing them to shift or even roll off completely. Hence, the phrase "cold enough to freeze the balls off a brass monkey" was born, though some linguists debate the exact naval connection. The phrase has long been linked to maritime law, and it paints an evocative image of just how brutal the cold could be at sea. Today, letting the cat out of the bag means revealing a secret, but in medieval times it was far more literal, and it involved one of the oldest tricks in the book. Picture this: you're at a busy marketplace in 16th century England. A merchant offers you a piglet wrapped securely in a sack. Pleased with your bargain, you take it home, only to open the bag and find that you've been duped. Instead of a valuable piglet, there's a much less useful and very angry stray cat inside. This was a common scam among dishonest traders, and once the bag was opened, the deception was obvious, hence letting the cat out of the bag. Interestingly, this phrase also has ties to another medieval punishment device, the cat-o'-nine-tails. This multi-tailed whip was used for flogging criminals and sailors. When punishment was to be administered, the whip was pulled out of its bag, revealing the cruel fate of the recipient. Some believe this could also have influenced the phrase's meaning. Once the cat was out, there was no turning back. Today, pulling someone's leg means teasing them. But in the dark corners of 18th and 19th century cities, it had a far more sinister origin. One theory suggests that London street thieves, also known as trippers, would target wealthy pedestrians. These criminals worked in teams. One would hide in the shadows, while another would extend a leg or a hooked cane to trip the victim. Once the person fell, the rest of the gang would swarm in, robbing them before they had a chance to react. Another theory ties this phrase to executions, specifically hangings. During some botched hangings, Victims did not die instantly and instead struggled at the end of the rope. Executioners or onlookers would sometimes pull the leg of the condemned person to quicken their death. If this is where the phrase comes from, then what seems like a harmless joke today is actually rooted in a grim piece of history. Skeletons in the closet is used today to describe hidden secrets, but in 18th and 19th century England, it wasn't just a metaphor, it was a disturbing reality. At the time, medical schools faced a huge problem. They needed real human bodies for anatomy lessons, but strict laws made it nearly impossible to get them legally. The solution? Body snatchers, also known as resurrection men. These criminals would dig up fresh corpses from graves and sell them to doctors or medical students. Some of the most infamous cases involved William Burke and William Hare, who took the practice even further. Instead of waiting for bodies to be buried, they simply murdered people and sold their fresh corpses to a doctor in Edinburgh. By the time they were caught, they had killed at least 16 people. Doctors who bought illegally obtained skeletons often kept them hidden, sometimes quite literally in their closets. The phrase skeletons in the closet later evolved to mean any dark secret from the past that someone wants to keep hidden. We use these phrases every day, never realizing their eerie and sometimes gruesome histories. Language is full of dark little echoes from the past, and if you dig deep enough, you never know what you'll unearth. If you enjoyed today's dive into the strange and macabre, don't forget to like, subscribe, and step further into the darkness with me. Until next time, stay curious.